I'm going to show you how to do your first brew on a batch of kombucha. I have a clean brew jar, which is actually just a jar that I found probably at like Home Goods or something. It had a regular lid on it, but we're going to use this. And when I bought a kit off of Amazon initially, it had a Scoby and it had some tea and kind of the things that you needed to get started. So I'm going to show you how to do a first brew on your kombucha, providing you already have a Scoby with some liquid, which I have a couple if anybody wants one, because they, when you put it in the jar, it forms a new one. It continues to form these Scobies. You can kind of pull them apart and redistribute them or throw them away if you want to. I have some water on the stove in a tea kettle I'm going to bring it to boiling. And in the meantime, we're going to fill this up with my tea. Tablespoons of black tea. I use Raw Brewing Company's black tea. Doesn't have to be measured perfect. So I'm going to add, you use cane sugar when you do your brew. It's black tea, cane sugar, water, and a Scoby. 1 cup of sugar for each brew. And I buy gigantic bags of cane sugar. If you can see, I've got this filled up. I have gigantic bags that I buy from Costco. I've always got some. Do 1 cup. While I'm waiting for my water to boil, let me talk to you briefly about how I got started. So I bought a kombucha home brew kit off of Amazon, and you can just Google them. I will link one also so that you can see which one I bought. When I first did it, I followed the directions like religiously, made sure I had everything done every step of the way. But I've been doing it long enough now that I kind of just have my own system, and what I've been doing works. So I've kind of, ditched the instructions and just kind of do my own thing. The kit that I bought originally had a different brewing jar, which I've got sitting on my counter with another batch in it. And that jar has a temperature gauge on the side of it. Because when you fill this with boiling water, you are going to let it cool and steep for like 5 to 6 minutes. You're going to take it out, and then you're going to fill it with cold water to about 3/4 of the way, because you need to leave some space so that you can put your Scoby and the leftover kombucha back in. But you'll want to keep the temperature between like 68, I think, 68 and 86 degrees, something like that, which is a wide range. Basically, you don't want it too cold and you don't want it hot. So I think you're supposed to measure it, but I do not measure. Very seldom do I measure anything. I'm going to just do it to cover the tea container. That's almost everything that's in my tea kettle anyway. So we're going to let that steep. Ooh, that's hot. Let it steep and cool, and then we'll add some cold water, and we're going to tuck this bad boy away, and we'll have another batch of kombucha in about a week. Got the filtered water added, and now we are going to put back in a Scoby and some of the liquid. We'll set it aside and we'll brew. When you put the Scoby in, the Scoby will form to whatever container you have. So you'll put it in, and then it will form, and it will cover the entire top, kind of like a thick layer, and it will continue to do that. And so you'll get one layer, and then every time you brew, you'll get another layer, and you can tear those apart. You kind of have to after a while because it gets too much. So I will show you mine. And this one's kind of falling apart, but I've got, it already fell apart. So here's one Scoby. I don't even know where the original one is. Here is a piece of one, and it looks like this might be the original right here because it's the thickest. I'm going to go ahead and use the original, and then maybe I'll save one of those other Scobies or see if somebody wants it. So I'm going to set this back in, try to make it so that it's floating on the top. It'll float up to the top, and I'm going to add back, it's doing something, add back some of my liquid.